Welcome back, guys. Today's video is going to be 3 keto dessert recipes, and we're going to go ahead and jump right in. So the first recipe is a lemon blueberry mug cake. So first things first, we're going to go ahead and do 3 tablespoons of almond flour. You can do coconut flour. I haven't tried it with coconut flour, but I'm sure it's still really good. 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder in there, pinch of salt. You're going to do 1 large egg. I actually did 2 small eggs. Make sure you don't leave the shells in there like I almost did. So I did 2 small eggs, or you could do 1 medium, 1 large egg. You're going to do 4 tablespoons of any sugar substitute. So I did stevia. You can do erythritol, xylitol, monk fruit. Then 2 tablespoons of coconut oil. Then I did not measure out the lemon zest, but I zested about half of a pretty large lemon. And obviously this one can be to taste, so if you like it really lemony, do some more. If not, not as much. Then I squeezed about half the lemon, juice out of half the lemon. And if you hold it over your hand like that, you catch the seeds that way. Then I did about a 1/4 cup of blueberries, which still is keto. I think that ended up being about 9 carbs. And then just mix everything together. Then you're just going to grab your favorite mug, make sure it is microwave safe, and you're going to pour all of that in the mug. Try to get it all in the mug like I did not. Then it really depends on your microwave. I know nobody really knows the wattage. This recipe calls for it being about 1.5 minutes. I had to do mine for about 3.5 minutes. But once it came out, it was really like moist and spongy, and the blueberries did melt a little bit. It was really, really good. As you can see, it's really like bouncy. Next recipe is almond joy. For this one, we are going to start with 1/2 cup of coconut milk. Now I have these babush cups that my boyfriend bought for me. I will link them below. They are Russian nesting dolls, but they are measuring cups, and they make me smile every single time I use them. And they actually go like a full cup, 3/4 of a cup, 1/2 cup. So we're going to start with that coconut milk. Then you're going to add 1.5 cups of shredded coconut. I did use unsweetened. Then we're going to do a 1/4 cup coconut oil. Add about 2 tablespoons of your sugar substitute. Once again, I did use stevia. Then you're going to do just a splash of vanilla. Pinch of salt. And you're going to go ahead and mix that all together. I found it easiest to mix it with a fork and get that coconut all mixed in there. And if you feel like your consistency is a little too wet, then put it in the fridge for about 10 minutes. Then go ahead and fill about a third of the way pan. You're going to make a double broiler, and if you have one, you can definitely use that, but I didn't have one. So what you do is you fill that with water, not quite halfway. You put it on the stove in medium-high heat, and you take a metal bowl. I would not use glass for this, but a metal bowl, and place it on top of that pot. Then in there we did 24 grams of cocoa butter, and then 2 ounces of dark chocolate, 100% cacao. So it's not sweet at all. Then you're just going to melt that down until it becomes completely liquid, and you can mix it, but you could just let it sit. Just be careful that it doesn't boil. Then on a cookie sheet with aluminum foil, you're going to go ahead and roll out that filling you made that was in the fridge. It did harden a little bit, so it was way easier to roll them out than if you were to do it right away, because that coconut oil and that milk did harden a little bit. So you're just going to roll out as many as you can. You can do whatever shape you want. I tried to make them as much of Almond Joy as I could. You can make them smaller, bigger, it doesn't matter. Then you're going to go ahead and place almonds right on top in the middle there. I just used raw, unsalted, regular almonds. You do want to make sure you press them down a little bit into your filling. That way they stay when you go ahead and put the chocolate on top. So this part, guys, was actually really hard to do, but practice makes perfect. The chocolate does start to set, it gets thick. Ideally, it would be great to have it completely liquid and then submerge them, but that bowl made it really hard for me to do, like submerge them completely. So I just used 2 forks to get them in there, and then you see how it's kind of hardening already. So we had to actually put it back on the stove and reheat it a few times. But you just kind of lay that chocolate over it, make sure it's covered completely. And then I find using the 2 fork method was the easiest method. So you just kind of put one under, you kind of leverage it, and then use the other one as the backing, and you lift it up, and then you put it back on your sheet, and you put them in the chocolate the same way. Just be really careful. And you know what, if you mess up, it's totally fine. I messed up a lot of times. We redid this about 10 times, but it was actually really fun. And then you're just going to leave those in the fridge for, I would say, about half hour till they're really set. They don't come out pretty. They are so delicious, guys. That coconut flavor with the dark chocolate, it's honestly so good. And one of these is so satiating. For our third recipe, we're going to make some chewy chocolate chip cookies. The first thing you're going to do is preheat your oven to 350. Then you're going to go ahead and melt a full stick of butter. And then to your melted butter, you're going to add 1.5 cups of almond flour. Then you're going to do 1/2 cup of your sugar substitute. I'm still using that Stevia. Then a splash of vanilla. Then 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. Then 1 1/4 teaspoon of beef gelatin powder. Then mix all that together. I find it easiest to use a hand mixer. It takes 2 minutes. Then just beat in 1 egg. And then you're going to add 1/2 cup, or however much you like, of chocolate chips. I used the Lily's dark chocolate chips. The Lily's brand, they already sweeten them, so you don't have to add any more Splenda or sweet drops or anything. So these are one of my favorites. And then I'm just going to use a little rubber spatula to go ahead and mix that all in together. Take a look at that consistency, guys. I've never made keto cookies that looked so much like actual cookie dough. Then you're going to go ahead and take a cookie sheet, line that with parchment paper, and these did not stick at all, so you can just go ahead and put the cookies right on there. And I used about a tablespoon, and then just roll them up. You can make them to your liking. You can make them smaller, bigger. You could even probably make the entire sheet just one rectangular cookie. And I did not get this part on camera, but I did go ahead and flatten those with a spatula. Then you're going to put your cookies in, and mine baked for 15 minutes on 350, and they came out perfect, you guys. Look at these cookies. They look amazing. They were so chewy, and the flavor was just awesome. We ate all of these in just that night. But I hope you guys enjoy. I'm going to leave all of the ingredients, all the directions, a couple links to some things you can buy on Amazon for these recipes. And like always, leave me your comments, leave me your love below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. I'll keep that out of the shot.
Outtakes.
It's fine.